consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your Soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hello, my loves. Your truth, your vision, and your unique creation is critical to our collective growth and evolution. And in order for us to really show up and share our truth, share our vision, really, we are being called to be a powerful creator. Now, in this episode, I want to explore what it truly means to be a powerful creator. And the theme of this is really starting from cultivating safety from within ourselves first. So I want to share what's the steps to become a powerful creator. I'm bringing on a very special guest, and my dear friend, Caroline Stewart, to jam with me on this topic of the importance of cultivating safety from within in order to be a powerful creator. Caroline and I met on social media, and it was only in the beginning of this year, actually, that we happened to be at a couple workshops together, just bumping into each other. Of course, no such thing as randomness and coincidence. So we decided it's time to take our acquaintance friendship to the next level, and we've been big cheerleaders and in each other's circles and energy ever since. So let me proudly introduce this amazing woman. Caroline is a visionary life and business coach and a soulful space holder. She empowers heart-centered humans to go from craving connection and deeper meaning to living on purpose with crystal clear vision and confidence to stand fully in their power, their divine power. She is a dream chaser, adventure seeker, teacher, student, and lover of the quiet. I'm all about leaning into the quiet, and Caroline has somebody that has really inspired me to do so, because I'm going to be honest, it's not natural and easy for me to lean into the quiet, if you couldn't tell already. So she's all about being in the quiet, writing about it, and practicing before she preaches. She is a multi-passionate soulpreneur who is currently best known for leading a 200-hour online meditation teacher training, offering inspirational workshops and retreats, and sharing the love however she can. As founder and director of inspiration for Inspired Me, she loves working on creative and transformative ways. Why am I not able to say that? Transformational ways with people who share her passion for joy and authenticity. And let's give a warm welcome to my friend and this powerful goddess woman, Caroline. Welcome, love.
Hello. I'm so glad that we are on this call together and having this chat. It's such a blessing to get to speak to you.
Oh, thank you. And I feel like that's such a blessing for you to be on here and really have people who don't know about your greatness and your power and your wisdom to receive today. And that's really what today is about. It's a chat. It's a chat about being a powerful creator and how exactly we become one. But before we go there, I'd love for you to share a bit of your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, are we talking in my life and my business? This is
I think those are really intertwined. By the way, before you go on, I actually want to let the audience know that you guys, Caroline has built multiple successful businesses in the health and wellness industry over the past 15 years. And she's been through the gamut of all the things that can and go wrong. We've talked about some of that, eh?
Oh, yeah.
And learned a shit ton along the way to learn how to deal with heart and build a solid soul-centered business that brings abundance in all areas of life, including finances, health, relationships, and soul growth. So, like I said, my audience is so blessed to have you share your wisdom today. So wherever you feel called to share about your journey and how you got here today would be just beautiful.
Yeah, well, let me drop in here a moment, because this is, you had asked me maybe what an intent for our conversation would be today, and I've been really feeling into the energy of surrender, like really deeply feeling into this energy of surrender. So I'm going to sit with it for just a moment and let that flow through. So, okay, so when we talk about one thing, when we talk about business, when we talk about life, when we talk about relationships, it's all intricately intertwined. So how we do one thing is how we do all things. So if I'm going to be speaking on one component, it's obviously going to affect all others. So I trust and feel like this will flow nicely. So
I trust so too.
Almost 16 years ago, I started my first business. So I started a wellness center right before I had my first child, actually. And I was really motivated by spirit at that time to start that business. It was a moment of complete surrender, where I heard a voice speak to me saying that this is important, this needs to get out, you need to be a resource. And I was 21 at the time, like I was young, and I didn't know what I was doing, honestly. So I spent the next 10 years really learning business. Like I didn't know what I was doing, so I learned, I connected, I struggled, I suffered, I fell down a lot, I got up a lot. But there was something that ran underneath it all, and that was this really deep knowing that there was something in operating behind the scenes that was so much deeper than, numbers or success, or just expectations of how things should go in my world, in my business. Fast forward to about 6 years ago now, when I finally surrendered completely to what was happening in my life. And ultimately what happened was I ended up leaving a marriage because it was time to transition that relationship, and then eventually leaving that business that I started, which is still operating now. It's very successful, but I'm just not part of it. And after that, I really sunk into a space of complete surrender. And it was hard. That was a really difficult time in my life because there was no foundation anymore. All of my assumptions about who I was and everything that had kind of built me to that point and that I had identified with was no longer. So I had to start over again. And the one thing that arose above all else was this deep connection to truth. And the way that I accessed it most frequently was through meditation. So meditation was both my lifeline, my deepest spiritual practice, my devotion. my way of serving. And again, a download came, and a voice very clearly spoke to me and said that this is where my service will come from. This is where I need to develop, and I need to help and guide others in this practice, and to really connect more deeply in with myself. So that kind of brings us to present day, where now I guide a 200-hour online meditation teacher training, which you spoke to. And I'm finding actually that lately that is all that I want to do. So so many things are actually dropping away in service of this really important practice rising to the surface, so that I can sink more deeply into practice and offer that as my service, my way of supporting others, and really being in the practice myself. So that's kind of that's a summary of where I've been and where I am now.
And thank you. I just want to share just how I always love the way you share, and how you, before you do that, how you just let yourself drop in. You give yourself permission to have the space just to drop in. And I wanted to highlight that because I feel like in a world where it's go, 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 like we constantly are apologizing, or at least us Canadians are, right? We're like taking up too much time, taking up too much space. It's I want to say such a beautiful modeling of going against that resistance and allowing yourself to just be like, let me take my time, let me take the space just to drop in so I can feel into it. And I feel like that's deeply important. So,
do you want me to tell you where it came from?
Please, I was just going to ask.
Okay. So I was not always like that. So I was as a child. We kind of return to a lot of our natural tendencies when we unlearn our patterning. But I actually grew up and kind of moved into adulthood feeling deeply vulnerable and self-conscious. And I didn't feel like I had a voice, even though I was leading this business and I felt called within. Nobody knew that I ran that business. Like, I was behind the scenes. Somebody would come to the front desk, and they would talk to me like I was, another staff member, and that was kind of the way I liked it. And then they would complain to me about this, and not knowing at all that I was the face of the business, because I wasn't. And it wasn't until I shared that about 6 years ago, when I like really finally surrendered. I got so uncomfortable. I got so uncomfortable in the space of this disconnect that I was feeling. So I was feeling a disconnect between what was true inside, so the truth that was like begging to be expressed, and then what I was expressing. It was completely at odds with each other, and I had felt it for a long time, and I'm sure we've all experienced that. But
absolutely,
it wasn't until I got more uncomfortable with that disconnect than I did with the fear of being seen and heard, of being potentially rejected or potentially judged. And so all of these shifts and changes that happened those 6 years ago really led me on a journey of starting to share more and starting to be more myself and starting to take up space and time and surrendering into this presence, because like hustle just wasn't doing it for me. And frankly, it was creating anxiety, like to the point of, and I'm sure some of your listeners have experienced this, I was experiencing severe panic attacks, like debilitating. And every time I look at this now as one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given, because it really spoke to me and showed me every time I was not being completely honest or not representing myself to the fullest truth, anxiety would show up every time. And so it was like, the universe was nudging me along the way saying, hey, this is your truth, speak it. Hey, this is your truth, live it. But it wasn't until my body got involved and was like, no, you need to listen, that I just fully surrendered to that process. And now it's like I ain't going back to a place of anxiety. So surrender is all that exists, really.
There are so many golden nuggets that you just shared. Thank you. And I know that there are going to be many listeners right now and on the replay who are totally resonating with this message. Like that's like, wow. I bet there's going to be so many people saying that's me right now. So what I would love to have once we come back from commercial is for us to unpack a little bit of how you got to where you are specifically, and with the understanding that the foundation is really about cultivating safety internally. And I feel like if anyone does that really well, it's you. And you're absolutely a model for this, practicing what you preach. And so I'm going to invite the listeners as we go into commercial to really reflect on Caroline's story and see what parts of it are a mirror for you. What ahas are you receiving already in listening?
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
When you wake up in the morning, are you excited for the new day? Are you passionate about your work? Are your relationships fulfilling? And finally, are you happy? I'm Mia Voce, your host and guide to the power of 5. Harness the forces of the universe and unleash your powers within. Join me each Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on OMTimes Radio. And remember, anything is possible. You only just have to believe.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back, my loves. So just before commercial, Caroline and I were jamming about the ability to slow down, really come into ourselves and give ourselves permission to take up space. And of course, to get here requires a different state of mind. So Caroline, I'm going to ask you, let's talk more about the importance of cultivating safety and what exactly that means.
Oh my goodness. This is my work right now. I'm diving deep into this inquiry, so I love that we're chatting about it. So the truth is, before we even go into any of the inquiry or the exploration, the truth is that as a divine ideation, so my personal belief and something that I feel that we share is this deep knowing that we are expressions of divine, that we are expressions of God, or whatever you use to really define this unknowable and yet potent, energetic, creative force in this universe. So we are emanations of this. We are divine ideation. We are components of the divine. Because of that, because of the fact that we are of divine, we are of perfection. So that's a really important component to know. So when we are incarnated, when we come into this 3D reality to explore, to get curious, to expand consciousness in order for divine to explore and know itself more completely, it can feel disorienting. It can feel confusing. It can feel overwhelming. So, because we are of divine, because we are of this energy of perfection, the truth is that we are safe. That it, as components and these emanations of divine, there is nothing that is wrong with us. There is nothing that challenges the truth of who we are at our core. So when I speak to cultivating safety from within, it's really about remembering this truth. Beautiful. But before we can even get there, though, we have to look at when we forgot. Because that's what happens first, isn't it? We forget. Yes. We forget that we are of divine. Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know because we haven't woken yet. Yeah. So I love that you really grounded us in this framework first, this really important truth that we already are divine. And if we think about it, it's like when babies are born, they're already like we see them with the eyes of love and perfection and enoughness. And they simply are because they are here. They're born, they're breathing. And we are no less than that. That's where we came from. That's who we are. And yes, we forget how precious and how perfect we already are.
Yeah.
So thank you for the reminder.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's as much for me as it is for you and the listeners. Yeah.
So then how do you help us remember who we truly are? Right. Remember that we are divine, to cultivate the safety within.
So the thing that really helps me hold the inquiry, so the inquiry is really where we have disconnected from this truth. And I'll walk you through that as well. But the thing that holds that container so that I can explore it in depth is this quality of compassion. And it's really important that we cultivate that first, this ability to hold the inquiry with love, with kindness, with grace, with acceptance. Because if we don't first set up that container, when we go into inquiry, self-judgment arises. And oftentimes frustration and then judgment of our experience arises as well. So we cultivate this aspect of compassion within self. And then I start to inquire into, and I help others inquire into, where we started to feel a lack of safety in our life. So when the question that I ask is, when is the first time that you felt unsafe? And maybe we could just start there and explore it a little bit together. So is
Absolutely. I'm totally open to that. Yes. Live coaching from Caroline. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my time to drop in and just really check it out for myself. You know, the first memory that comes up right now in this moment is when I was about 4 years old, and I actually saw an earthbound ghost. Now, obviously, at the time, I did not know it was a ghost, but upon, uncovering that about 10 years ago, I realized that. But I felt so unsafe because this earthbound ghost was yelling at myself, my parents and I. And of course, my parents couldn't see, so they just thought I was having a temper tantrum out of nowhere. And of course, my Asian parents, being Asian parents, were like, oh my gosh, this child needs to calm down. Let's just put her in a room until she calms down. They were doing the best that they could at that time. So, of course, me being in total fear that this man was yelling at us to get out of his house because we were renting at the time, all of that fear and trauma got locked into my body.
Yeah.
And I was alone. I was alone in this horrific feelings. So that's the first conscious memory that's coming up.
Beautiful. Okay, so that is so perfect. And most people who do have some memory of childhood, sometimes we do block it out, and that's okay. We can go to, our first adult memory, but that is such a beautiful, beautiful memory, because you can see as a child, you don't yet have the resources or the knowledge or the lessons to know how to deal with that. And so that, as you spoke to, that creates trauma. And as Dr. Gabor Mate shares, trauma is anything that separates you from self or the present moment.
Yes, and it's stored in the body, yes.
Yes, it is stored in the body. And so the next inquiry question that can kind of guide us through this is, what did you do to cope? So when you felt unsafe, and obviously your truth, you weren't feeling heard by your parents, they didn't understand.
Coping, I'm just repeating what you said because I feel like this needs to be highlighted and blown up and zoomed in, is coping is a false sense of safety because, in our society, we're taught that it's really important to cope. And I love this new angle you're actually sharing with us, which is, actually that's a false sense of safety. Yeah. What we really need to do is go deeper and inquire. Yeah. So tell us more and continue inquiring me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, it took me a really long time to actually understand that. I thought that by coping, I was doing a really great job. And that if I just kept coping better and better and better, that finally I would get self-actualized and everything would be perfect. I would be happy and joyful. But that didn't work. That didn't work. And so the next question I have for you is either when is the first time, or when do you feel a true sense of safety? When do you feel a sense of safety within that is not affected by anything outside of you? And this is for you.
When I am, when I am meditating and I am connecting with divine, with my spirit guides and my spirit team, it's almost like I go into this flow, super flow consciousness state, and I still can feel my body, and it's like nothing else matters outside of me in that moment in time. It's just me in my relationship with myself and with my spirit team.
Yeah, doesn't that feel like truth to you? It just,
yes.
It holds the truth. It holds the vibration of what safety actually is. It goes back to that original aspect that I was speaking about, that we are of divine. And so when we are connecting with divine, when we are engaging in practices that honor and connect us with truth, with integrity, and with this divine connection, that's when our sense of safety is reestablished.
Yes, I love this because it has been a journey to get here. And I feel like as I say this, a lot of people are going to resonate with it. But I was constantly looking outside of myself for answers, for happiness. You know, for many of us that are women or identify as women, we really put our happiness and our worth into our body image.
Yeah.
And that was my very own story, right? It's like, if I have the perfect body, if I do the right diet, if I do, then I'll be happy. When actually we need to connect with ourselves first.
Yes. Yes. And you've just brought up such an incredibly potent way that most people cope, is by trying to change their outside world. So whether that's changing the way that people perceive their physical body, or in my case, I love controlling the shit out of my life. I will plan, and then struggle with being present with my plans. And then we wonder why we feel so disconnected from self and, again, from the present moment. We feel like we're never getting there. We're never actually happy. And that's because it was false. It wasn't truth. Yes. We were chasing this elusive coping mechanism in order to, again, feel safe, to feel whole once again.
That is so true. That is so true. So for those who are listening that are like, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
What are those steps, if you could sum that up in a couple minutes? Yeah.
No problem. Okay. So the very first thing is awareness. It always is awareness. So it's finding just a little bit of space in your thoughts, in your beliefs, to inquire into this possibility for self. So those 3 inquiry questions we went through are key. So when did I first feel unsafe? How do I cope with this lack of safety? And then third is, how do I experience a true sense of safety? So that's number 1, is become aware of this pattern, become aware of this lack of truth that is kind of operating underneath the surface. And then the next step is kind of a choose your own adventure. And I'll speak to my own personal favorite, which is meditation, because the next step is about cultivating safety within through practices that connect us with divine. I'll just say that again. So the next step is cultivating that safety, again, through practices that bring us back into that connection with divine. So for me, that's meditation. A daily meditation practice is everything. And as I shared more recently, for me, surrender. So surrender to choices, surrender to the flow of life. When something comes up and is asking me to speak truth in a situation, asking me to be more honest, or perhaps try this thing that feels really scary, I'm committed to doing that. I'm committed to surrendering to this natural flow of life, because I've now tasted that truth, that this is a safe world and that I am fully supported. So those are my practices. And I'm curious, you spoke to some of your practices. So mine are meditation. I have a daily meditation practice, and obviously we can go into the specifics there, but genuinely, it is anything that connects you back to divine.
Beautiful. So when we are going to go into commercial right now, and I'm going to have you reflect on what is it for you in terms of a practice that will support you to cultivate safety and go back into relationship with divine, your divine being.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right, so welcome back, loves. So just before commercial, I was having you reflect on what are some practices, because you get to choose your own venture to help you bring yourself back into divine, into the light, love that you are. And so, of course, meditation is one of the ways, but it's not the only way. So Caroline, I'm really curious, what are some other ways, in case people are like, wow, meditation's not really my thing. What are some other practices people would take on?
Yeah. So that's why I called it a choose your own adventure, because it is anything that connects you with divine. So whenever you feel fully in your body and connected to something that's, beyond your thoughts. So that could be dancing. It could be going for runs. It could be as simple as doing the dishes. It could be really soulful conversations with friends. For some people, I think that they chase this. So extreme sports can absolutely do that. Really getting your heart rate up and kind of dropping out of the mind.
Being in the zone.
Yes, exactly. Being in the zone, getting really creative. So if you're an artist and you love to paint, then that's a perfect way to move into that space of safety. Music. Oh my goodness, music is such a powerful practice. And the truth is, all of these things I would actually call meditation. But I get it. I get not everybody would hold that same definition. So yeah, anything that brings you into the body and brings you into this present moment. And we've all felt that. So we all have these things that make us feel present and whole.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So what I would love is the honor for you to guide us through a meditation that will support us in coming home to ourselves and being connected back into our divine.
Absolutely.
And then I'll come in and jam with some light language at the end of your meditation.
Oh, perfect. Ooh, I love this co-creation.
It's very fun.
Okay. So for those who have not practiced meditation before, we're going to quickly set up a posture of practice. So you can either be seated or laying down if that feels more comfortable for you. If you're driving, please don't lay down, and also please do not close your eyes. That is not conducive to safety. However, you can engage in the practice, the breathing component of it, as long as you maintain focus. So in setting up your posture of meditation, what we want to do first is bring balance into the body. So feel equal weight on both sides of the body. If you're seated, feel your hips evenly pressing into the chair or the seat below you. If you're laying down, the same on both sides of your body, there's equal weight. And if you're driving, you can do the same thing. Feel yourself more balanced. Bring some awareness into your body so that we can really sink into this physical experience. One of the ways that we move into presence is by embodying, is by being in the body. And when we sink into this physical experience, you might notice that there are sensations that are arising in your body. So just notice those. Allow those to arise as they naturally do. And I invite you to feel from your hips rooting down into the earth below. So feel an energetic pull. And if it's something that you can't sense, if you're not familiar with sensing this energy, just visualize roots extending down from your hips all the way into the earth, connecting you into the earth below. And then from this grounded base, the bottom of your spine, feel a lengthening all the way up your central channel, which is your backbone or your spine. This is also the central channel of your energetic body that flows through all of your chakras. So feel a lengthening, a lifting from your firmly grounded bottom of the spine all the way up to the top of your head. Even if you're laying, you can feel that. And if it's available for you, you can close your eyes to draw your senses inward. But if not, you can still be in practice with your eyes open. And so this is actually practice number one that you can take with you anywhere, is simply being very intentional about being in your body and establishing that connection to the earth, either through visualization or intention, and really feeling yourself connected firmly and lifting your spine. So by changing your posture, you actually help energy to flow more freely through the body and sink into the body. And the next practice that we're going to move into together is a breath practice. So we're going to be doing heart-focused breathing, which is so powerful. And for me, I love placing a hand or two on my heart space to help me focus my attention onto the heart. Your energetic heart is actually in the center of your chest, below your breastbone. So focus there. And then as you inhale, imagine the breath coming in through the front of your chest into your heart space and filling your entire heart space. And then exhaling to relax and soften. And then as you continue to inhale into the heart space, start to bring in the quality of compassion. Starting to really cultivate this quality of compassion in the heart space, of love, of kindness, of non-judgment, of acceptance, of grace. Breathe that into the heart space. keep breathing in compassion, energy filling your entire heart space. And this heart-focused breath actually helps to bring a vibrational resonance, a connection to the brain that helps to calm the nervous system and brings us into physical balance, helps to regulate our nervous system, our hormones, everything. And in this space of compassion, we're going to do one more practice. So we've cultivated this heart-focused breath. We have really started to warm up the space of the heart, activating our compassionate heart. We're now going to fill our entire physical body with this compassion. So inhale again into the heart space to amplify this energy of compassion. And then exhale as this compassionate energy spreads out in all directions from your heart to fill your entire physical body. So inhale to really amplify compassion. Exhale to spread that compassion through your entire body. And in this energy of compassion and this energy of love that we are cultivating, there's a remembering of truth. This space of safety that we are creating, this space of complete and utter acceptance, is connection to divine. It is remembering of truth. So keep that breath going. This is the next practice that you can take with you anywhere, is to spread out compassion and kindness to fill your physical body and create this cocoon of safety. If you feel as though you're somebody who often leaks energy or gives more than you receive, this is a really good practice for closing any of those energy leaks. And then very last practice is to just extend that beyond into the energetic body. So a few more inches outside of the body. We'll take 2 more breaths here together, and then we'll transition into Rosalind's offering. Inhale into the heart. And exhale to fill the physical and energetic body. One more. Now over to you, Rosalind.
Porakua partigaratua, poratua, kia barakaratua, koratia barakatu, kia barakatu, prakaratia, koratua, karatua. Porakua parati, barakaratua, ki barakaratua, barakaratia, korati, koratu, koratu, koratu. Breathing in, barakaratia, korati, karatua, karatua, clearing anything that's not serving, supporting, clearing your path. Breathing in safety. Barakia, barakarati, kia, barakaratu, koratu, anchoring, anchoring, anchoring in safety, compassion, kindness, karatua, karati, karatia, koratua, aligning it with divine. Koratia barakarati kua karatu kia barakarati koratia, activating it. Koratua barakarati koratua. Breathing in, breathing out, and just allowing yourself to hang out for a few moments with your experience and in your experience. Allowing yourself to feel the sensations, feel your feelings, notice any images, words that arise. There's no right or wrong. Honoring your experience. And then finding a way to complete this experience in a way that really honors you, your divine light. So that might be putting your hand on your heart, feeling your feet on the ground, seeing the image of you as this bright light, or the word I am light. Whatever that is for you. And when you're ready, just very slowly and gently come on back, bringing your awareness back into your environment. Remembering that this is always available to you. Thank you so much, Caroline. That was so delicious.
What a beautiful
So
co-creation.
beautiful. Oh, it's always so fun to co-create, isn't it? So, my love, tell us a little bit more. Those who are like, oh my gosh, I need more Caroline in my life. I'm loving what she's sharing. My soul is feeling called to learn more from Caroline. Tell us a little bit more about where people can find you. Tell us more about your 200-hour meditation certification course. All the things, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make it as brief as possible. So, website is very simple. It's got a whole bunch of stuff on there. So, inspiredme.ca, where you can find out about all the things that I'm offering and register for any courses or programs. The meditation teacher training, the next one is starting September 14th. So, registration is now open. And I just announced the opening of a BIPOC scholarship to honor Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So I have 5 scholarships. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I just totally got goosebumps. I'm like vibrating hearing that, Caroline. Oh my gosh, you are just such a beautiful light.
Well, please apply. Please apply. This is a conversation for another time, but it's there. I want you to take advantage of it. There are 5 available. And then where you can really connect with me on an ongoing basis is through social. So my handle on both Instagram and Facebook is @theinspiredme. And I have a Facebook group, the Inspiration Network. I should also mention I've got a podcast called the Inspiration Network podcast that Rosalind was on. But in that Facebook group, I lead weekly meditations. So it's a great opportunity.
Beautiful, my love. Please do go and connect with this gorgeous soul. You will just be in so much love with her and your own divineness. Thank you so much for coming on today, Caroline, and sharing your gifts.
Thank you.
Love you, lady.
I love you too.